It says I am live, so here I is. I got to figure out how I can adjust the delay. It's terrible. That, that delay is awful. I turned that on, Brenda. Can you hear Can you hear an echo? Good morning, Carol. How are you this morning? Tell me if that changed anything about how it sounds. Hey, Phillip Dalton. You're in the green room? I don't see you. Hmm. I did send you the right. I did send you the right link, I think. Okay, let me back out and I'll be right now. I can't do that. Phil, do you see me? I mean, not over on the not on YouTube, but can you see me in the green room? Hmm. Phil, let me send you the link again. Maybe I did something wrong. Phil, I sent you a new link. Carol. No, no, no. Tim's not getting in here. He's not. I'm not getting in a unicorn outfit. I can't figure out why I don't see Phil though. Yes, I am having issues. Brenda, I need to get you to come downstairs and sit with me when I do this so I can talk to you. You think you have something different in mind, or they have something different in mind? There he is.
You
Hey,
hear
buddy.
me? Hey there.
You're on there. I must have sent. I don't know what happened to that link.
Nothing. It doesn't work on Safari.
Oh.
It's not Apple friendly.
Well, of course it's not. I've
So
never
I
heard
had
that.
to I had to open it in Google Chrome.
Oh, okay. Well, that kind of. I guess that. Well, at least I know now. No unicorn folk. I'm laughing at Brenda and Carol are having a discussion about unicorns. Did you see when Mother's Day when the girls came over and they had those unicorn blow up things on and dancing around the house?
Yeah, I did see that.
they were thinking that'd be a good idea if they did that for me, and I said no. Oh, the drive-through at the donut shop was very long. Did they have something on special today, Mike? And good morning. I don't have any donuts today. Did you bring extra? And I've got some little cuts on my fingers that are just sore. Especially if they get salt water in them or something. So what you been into this week? Anything special?
Who, me? No,
Yeah,
nothing.
nothing.
Just, I finished a couple of Everest books so I could give them back to my friend Warren.
Ah, okay.
I sound like I'm underwater.
Well, you're just it's probably just the room and the mic and
And maybe it's one of those disguised voices.
yeah, we'll go with that. That's a lot more interesting. Just fresh donuts, Mike said. Tardiness caused by donuts is all. That's true, Carol. That's true.
Kind of bright behind me.
What is that noise?
Somebody's getting feedback. It might be me.
You might have to. You might have to mute yourself there. I don't. Well, no, I don't know if you can do that and still talk.
I,
It was okay before.
it just sounds like I'm underwater from what I hear. But that's okay.
Mike, where's your better half? And I say that seriously, not too lightly. Carol thinks the echo do with having the volume on both YouTube and StreamYard. Yeah, that's what I use. That's what I have to make sure I've got my. I have to make sure I've got my. And you probably don't even have YouTube on, do you?
Well, I do. Let's see. I don't think I do. Because I'm in Chrome and I only opened this in Chrome.
Okay. Wait a minute. That's not how this. Is that how this is supposed to work? You and Diane need to talk. She's got you believing the wrong things, brother. You're not. That's good. You're not backlit. You were a little bit backlit before, but that looks good there.
Yeah, I had to crank it around to get the kitchen glare out of there.
Carol's wondering if Safari still has YouTube open.
Well, let me look. Let's see here.
They must be getting more of an echo than I am.
Shrink this down.
I could
close Safari. There. All right, I have closed Safari. I think that's the best I can do.
Okay, that's fine. We'll make do. Carol, is that any different? I think she uses. I think she uses Apple stuff too. Hell, everybody in here might use it, but me and Brenda, I don't know. Yeah, it might, but this might not be Father's Day in Canada. I don't know. But that's not a bad idea, though. Still echoing, she said. Well, that is strange. Let me see. Hang on a minute. Now, if I do that, that's going to mute you all the way around. I don't know.
Okay, when I go to settings, echo cancellation is enabled. And then it's automatically adjusted mic volume is enabled.
Okay.
And what if I turn that off? What's that sound like? That's bad.
That's bad.
Yeah, I was starting to get some feedback.
Wait a minute. Maybe I had something turned. I just checked mine. Maybe I've done something. It might. Let's try it again. I may have had something wrong there.
Yours sounds a little better to me.
Okay. Maybe I was the one doing it because I had accidentally clicked my echo off and stereo on, so that might have something to do with it. Oh, Danny goes bowling. Sound is better now. Okay, it was my fault, guys. I'm sorry. So it wouldn't be a Saturday morning without me screwing up something on the technical end of things.
You need a roadie.
Do what?
So you need a roadie.
I know, I do. I need that. I need that old guy that used to work at Barley's to adjust my sound system. That guy never could get it right.
These amps go to 11.
Oh, Mike doesn't use Apple products. Okay. Brenda says, "Oh, I would love to go bowling, but I'm not sure I could do it anymore." Hey, Diana, welcome in. Well, Mike was saying some awful things about you. I'm not going to repeat them, though. So it is Father's Day. Do you guys do Mother's Day on the same day, or is it different, Mike? Because I know, well, I'm not going to make that statement. I know in some places they do a Mother's Day and they do it in March. I think it's March. I was going to say former UK countries, but Mike says, you sound like a robot.
Who, me?
Maybe, I don't know. I get that way too. My voice gets that way too. By the end of some days, I can't even hardly talk.
Yeah, my beautiful tenor is long gone.
Yeah. I lost mine at puberty. I never did learn how to carry a tune after that. I'm going to wait just a little bit longer, see if anybody else shows up. Mark's gone off to Ohio to visit his mom and dad and sister and all her youngins and grand youngins and other relatives, cousins.
Did he fly?
Yeah, they flew into Covington. They fly out of Salt Lake City, and
To
there's
Greater
a non
Cincinnati.
do what?
To Greater Cincinnati.
Is that what that one's called?
Yeah, CVG.
Even though it's on the other side of the river.
Well, the Kentuckians would tell you that's the greater part of Cincinnati.
I should have thought of that. I guess that makes sense. I just said puberty, Carol. Oh no, it's not. I guess we need to fix that permission slip. Oh me. I'm sure we're not allowed to talk about that in schools anymore anyway. I'm going to say something else in a little while. I'm not sure if it's covered under the permission slip either. I'll just go ahead and warn you. Brenda and I watch these British television shows on Amazon at night sometimes, and they always give you a little introduction about what it's about, and they always give the warnings like adult contents, I don't know how they'd say that. They don't say bad words. They say foul language or something. And, just nudity, partial nudity or whatever. And so I need to start doing that, I guess. So this one should have a warning about discussions of puberty, um, obvious comments about mechanical things that probably don't happen, and there's
Bad advice.
no nudity that I can think of. I won't promise I won't say anything bad. Adult language. Maybe that's the way they say it. Oh, well, Carol, if you're asking me if it's covered by the permission slip, I'm going to make a ruling and say, sure. I'm pretty sure I put a sentence in there about this covers everything, no matter what happens. Early on in our show, Phil, I was talking about like animal procreation and things like that, and somebody thought we might ought to do a permission slip. Make sure
Well,
everybody's parents are
that
okay.
might get banned in Florida.
It might do it. Oh my.
That's
Anyway,
how they used to sell some books. They'd always say like banned in Boston.
yeah. Banned in 40 countries. Yeah, we're going to have a big old list, I'm afraid. Carol agreed. The I wish I knew how to adjust the delay from when I actually say it till it shows up on YouTube. 'Cause it seems like it's gotten longer and longer. I'm wondering if YouTube is not trying to censor me. If I have a guy in there to push a button or something.
National Hockey Leagues took over.
Oh yeah.
Like 2 minute delay on some of those apps.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's bad. I have to learn to be careful when I'm telling you what's on the game because I don't know if you've even gotten close yet.
Now there's a both Sirius and the NHL app are behind the TV.
I reckon why that is. I have to wonder sometimes if that don't have something to do with it.
Got something to do with the gambling part.
Oh well, now that I don't doubt. That seems to have taken over everything. I can't. I said yesterday I was watching college baseball. Well, yesterday evening, and when the game went off, I think it was the first game. TCU and Oral Roberts University. Now there's a pair. Anyway, ORU came back to win in the eighth, top of the eighth, and got ahead, and then by 1 run, and TCU, which should have been the win, I think was ranked higher, couldn't get that run back, and so they're in the losers bracket. But anyway, as soon as that went off, they went to Sports Center, and the very first thing on Sports Center was about gambling odds
on college ball.
I think so. I mean, they were talking about. I turned it off because they went straight to the gambling angle.
Yeah.
Now, if they weren't talking about college, I missed it, but I thought they were talking about the baseball. I mean, I'm sure they're betting on them. I mean, it's just crazy to me. I'm not approved by any means, but I just don't really care for that. That's the kind of thing that just ends up getting involved in too many things. That's how come we got a Black Sox scandal. White Sox, but I mean, that was all about gambling. Pete Rose is out of the
Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame because of about gambling. But anyway, that's my opinion. I'll get off that box.
Tennessee's game's tonight at 7.
Yeah, I was going to try to make sure I don't forget to watch it. The
LSU.
They're playing good ball right now. LSU beat them 2 games out of 3 this year, though, in the regular season. But Tennessee's playing a lot better now than they were then. I think that was early in the season, and they've really picked up. They're ranked pretty high in all kinds of stats, ERA and home runs, and I think they're third in either ERA percentage or home runs. They were giving some of that stuff out last night. Again, probably feeding the gamblers by giving out all these things about the different teams, who was in what. They were saying how many of the teams that are in the playoffs this year were in the top 10 in all these different aspects of the game, pitching and catching and hitting and stealing bases. And so I've got a lot of hope that they'll at least get a couple of rounds into this thing. I was trying to figure out last night, I couldn't remember if they were doing 2 out of 3 with these teams like they did in the other series, but it's not. It's a winners and a losers bracket, just like the softball was. You lose, you go into a losers bracket, you lose twice and you're out, I believe. Pretty sure.
Yeah. You got 2 losses, you're out.
And so the loser, what game? I wonder were they in? I don't know who they'll play. I know who they play LSU, but I don't know who they would have hell's bracket went after that. Maybe their team goes in to the other top of that losers bracket too. I'd have to look at the charts. It's the one I saw last night was a little strange looking. It looked like it had too many connections. It's all right, Mike. We can talk to Diana now about all those ugly things you said about her. Diana, he said that he would really, really, really love it if somebody dressed up like unicorns and came to see him and brought him a unicorn suit. What about a basset hound suit? Could you find the basset hound suit? And maybe you can get him to howl with the dogs. They've got a couple of basset hounds. And Diana wants a baby basset hound. Another one. Mike ain't talking.
Oral Roberts matches up against Florida, and Virginia matches up against TCU in the next round.
So Oral Roberts, they won, right? Okay, yeah. Florida beat.
That's as far ahead as it's scheduled. Besides today's games,
Florida came back to win in the 8th too. They were down in the 8th and came back and won by
6-5.
Yeah. Actually, they might have won on a walk-off.
6-5. All right. So much for that.
She said I can try to find him one. If you do take pictures, please. I'd just about pay that. I'd about help pay for the costume. Well, I would. If I thought soon enough, maybe we could have mailed the girls' costumes up there.
Did they rent those somewhere?
I don't know. I'm guessing I don't know. Brenda can maybe tell. I don't know if they did or if they just bought them. I'm sure they weren't very expensive. They were pretty thin. They're made out of that stuff that cheap ponchos are made out of, kind of a vinyl filling.
Yeah, like an old beach ball.
Yeah, kinda. Only probably not as thick. Okay, I'm just gonna. Oh, let me finish telling about Mark a little bit. I didn't do that. Got to Covington. Yeah, they flew into there's a flight that's nonstop from Salt Lake City to Covington. Then they rent a vehicle and drive it over to Jackson, and then they hang out with Larry and Jude. They stay there usually. Wow, my glasses are suddenly very dirty. I just cleaned them, and Larry was wanting them to come back. I know partly what it's about. I probably shouldn't even say that, but I know Larry would like for them to move back to Ohio, and I don't think that's going to happen. I know that's not going to happen. Mark is that doesn't seem like home. I don't think to him anymore, and his wife is from out there, so pretty sure she's not. With all their kids and grandkids are out there, so
when you've spent most of your career somewhere, you're pretty much dug in.
Yeah, he's been out there. He worked out there longer than I worked for TVA, so I think he was with the agency 27 years. And that may not be including his contracting work he did early on with them. I think he was still a contractor with Wyoming when he went to Arizona. He was down there for a while and he was doing cougar, upland birds, and furry predator work, mostly with mountain lions.
Speaking of cougars, I'll throw something in there when you get done.
Okay. But I don't. Yeah, so he's been out there a long time, and he wanted to go since I've known him. And actually, so did I. But I ended up with a job here, so I didn't even look out there. And the girls were in high school and all that. But if you stream it live, I'll be there, Diana. You just sing out. No, they bought them on Amazon, so they own them. We could send them out and rent them to Diana.
Start a rental business.
Add that to Jen's logo. We'll dance in unicorn or we'll rent you a unicorn outfit as well. I think they were supposed to be in. They were supposed to go down around Dunlap somewhere and meet up with the guy she's doing some sales for after she did the first sale or so for him. He's so impressed that he wants her to do all of his stuff now. So
Dunlap, Tennessee?
Yeah. She's got a client down there, I guess you could call him.
Uh-huh.
So what'd you round up?
I trade letters with my oldest sister, and she sent me a bunch of clippings. There's been instances of mountain lions showing up in Prescott and I guess Prescott Valley out there.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, they
right there, up, down.
Oh,
they're shooting. They're euthanizing. Oh, there you go.
They've already took out 4 so far.
Wow. I bet that raises a lot of. That usually raises a lot of uproar in the general public. Unfortunately, it gets to the point where that's about all they can do.
Yeah. I haven't answered her letter yet, but I was going to make some kind of crack about people need to quit feeding the mountain lions, like leaving their dogs and cats outside.
Well, did you see that? Hey, Francisco, good morning. Did you see that report yesterday about the black bear that killed the guy in Arizona?
No, did not see that.
I don't remember where he was at, but they said it looked like a campground to me, but they said something about it drug him out of his backyard. So I don't know if that was true or not, but he was sitting in a lawn chair. I don't know if he was feeding the bear. They didn't say that.
Yeah.
But the bear decided just to take a bite out of him, and he drug him down into the woods and killed him and began to consume him. And they, of course, put him down, the guy and the bear. Now, he did. He killed the guy, and I don't know if it was a homeowner. The first report I saw said camper, but then the second one sounded different than that, and they were warning people in that area just about putting up food and bear bait and all that kind of stuff. So I just about bet you it was a potato chip story.
It says in a rare unprovoked attack. I'm sure nobody asked the bear if it was unprovoked. It's in Yavapai County. That's Prescott's the county seat there.
Oh, that's close then.
Let's see where it was at. Doesn't
yeah, Brenda just said he was in Prescott.
Yeah, because I had another newspaper clipping about black bears in Prescott Valley, but that one left. Doesn't exactly say where it was at. It's just in Yavapai. They were talking to Yavapai County Sheriff. Wow. While he was having his morning coffee.
Maybe he was having donuts with it.
Yeah.
Hear that, Mike? Be careful with those donuts, buddy.
Having some Tim Horton, Tim Bits, or whatever they call them.
Yeah. I just heard that yesterday. I thought, man, it's not good. I don't know what's going on up there. You never are out there. I mean, back here, I can't imagine bears being hungry this year, because last year, at least in this general area, we had a bumper crop of acorns. I mean, I've never seen trees with as many full acorns as we had here last year. They were all over the driveway and all over the roads in a lot of places. So I think we had a really good mass crop last year. And I've been hearing something about bears being out wandering, but usually when they stray very far, they're looking for food, but out of the park, I mean. But I don't know if that's the case or now if there's just so much out there. Hey, Tina, good morning. As far as bear attack, it was probably a TikTok thing, Darwin Award winner. It could have been. I don't doubt that a bit. We'll see if it shows up it won't show up now, but well, I don't think. But you never know. Somebody might post it. I wouldn't doubt that, not one little bit. Oh, mercy. Well, anyway, I asked Phil if he could come on, and Phil had a smaller, short camping trip last weekend with his bike on his motorcycle, and his friend and mutual acquaintance Jim, that lives in Nashville, and they went out. And I just thought we'd talk a little bit about that kind of thing. And what I'd like to do, Phil, probably is just kind of run through some slides.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about stuff, and then we'll talk about just some of your trips, your camping trips, if that's okay.
Sure.
And I'll do the slides first, and like I said, we'll chat about them, but we'll kind of get them out of the way.
I only shot you that one, so.
Yeah, well, that's cool.
Hanging with Jim, it's kind of tough to stop and take pictures.
He's always got to be somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, back to work, which I hate for him. How many more years has he got, did he say?
I think 2. I think, yeah, he is 60 this year. and he just qualified for full retirement from military.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he said he's going to go at 62. So he's working on that.
These are both your pictures, but I'm going to use them again in a little bit, so I wasn't going to talk about them right
Oh,
now.
yeah. Yeah, the hop yard.
Yeah, I've got
Pad
that.
hop yard. So you could have took your singing talents over there Saturday, because those were 5 of the absolute worst vocalists in bands I have ever heard. I mean,
Oh, well, I could probably fit right in then.
it was worse than karaoke night.
Oh my! I've never found the appeal of that. So hit the like button, guys, unless you don't, and then hit the dislike button. I don't care. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I'm here done all that though. And leave a comment. Look there, Teddy. Teddy, look. Look at that little brave. Had a squirrel come right up to the door and put his nose. Teddy would have been down there staring him off if he'd seen, but he's asleep, so he didn't even wake up for it. So we're going to talk a little bit about camping on a motorcycle and doing that sort of thing. And this is kind of what it was like when I started riding. People just kind of had maybe some saddlebags like this guy's got, and then he had all their gear tied onto the back. To me, that looks like a big old canvas tent. And this is probably sleeping bags down here, which is a terrible place. I guess the tail light on that was right at the bottom of the fender.
Yeah, and it doesn't have turn signals.
True, very true. I don't know if that's a BSA of some sort. I can't see the engine plate. I don't know.
It's some kind of British, maybe signal even.
But this was just kind of an example of the way it used to be.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
They're an airport.
Indeed they are. I don't know what year this was taken, so hard. I see a DC-3 looking something back there on the
on the
a couple of them actually. Anyway, and now this is more along the lines of what you would see. And these aren't, but we're not loaded on this. This blue bike behind the red one is what I used to have, and this is Phil's smaller of his 2 bikes, his KLR.
Yeah, that's what I took on the Arkansas trip last year.
And it's got what we call hard bags or cans for saddlebags. There he is. You missed him. He was right up at the window. And he's got, if you look, you can see he's got a plate back here at the back to bolt on, tie gear down to. You don't use a tail bag on this, do you? Or do you have?
No, I don't have a tail pannier. I have a 50-liter dry bag that I strap on back there.
Oh, well, that's a good.
So, between those 2 pans and the 50-liter dry bag, I'm carrying almost well over 100 liters of capacity. So you can just about take the whole house with you.
Unless there's a big motorhome being towed behind that bike, it ain't happening for me. Come on, Diana, you're a Canadian. I thought you guys were all about the outdoors up there.
They do have pop-up tent campers that you can pull.
I'm going to show you one just here in a minute. Anyway, that lower left down there's the the bike I put all my hopes and dreams in, and you see they got out of that bag that's open there and escaped. Apparently,
the shot on the right's from this past weekend there.
Yeah, this is Phil's tent, and I may have another picture of that. Oh, I just noticed there you are in the weeds over there in that picture. I didn't see you in there in his high visibility jacket.
Yeah, okay. No idea what I was doing there.
So you carried your tent's the one on the back, isn't it?
No, it's the one on the foreground there. I
Oh,
didn't.
sure.
I'd slept the night without putting the rain fly on it.
Oh, well, that's nice when you can do that. Nope,
That,
she's
that,
done with tents, she said.
yeah, that's how I knew it was raining the next morning
Oh, yeah, that'd be a
at
clue.
5:30. So, well, I guess it's time to get up and break camp.
I guess I should have put that tarp on.
Yeah, there I was on the Moto Guzzi there. That's Lucy there.
Lucy.
And
That's
got
Jim in the
two.
back.
Yeah, that's Jim's Benelli there.
And you can see he's got a set of hard bags. Filson's got cans on it too. And that's your Arrow or your
Yeah, the Ventura. That's the
Ventura
small.
pack, yeah.
Yes, small Ventura Aero pack.
That's a nice setup. Phil let me use that on a trip or two. I was actually on his bike too, so. And just so you know, women do this stuff too. And not sure who the lady on the right is, left, I mean.
That's a big DL she's riding.
Yeah. And she's got hard bags on the bottom, but she's got soft dry bags on top. And that's a pretty good rig because those things will keep water. They keep water and dirt out really well. And then the lady on the right on both pictures is Nora Lee Schumacher, I believe is her last name.
Yes,
Also
yeah.
known as Itchy Boots. And I followed her for a long time around. She's almost been around the world.
She's in West Africa now.
Yeah, I'm way behind. And this was her first bike, I believe, maybe both. And I can't remember the name of that bike. It had an Indian name.
Basanti.
Was the first one Basanti?
Yeah, Deno was the second.
That's right, Deno. And this is a Royal Enfield made in India. Used to be British. Many years ago, the Indians were building them probably when they were still under.
Yeah, they were doing it under license.
And weren't they doing them for during the war? Is that when that started, or did they start before that? Do you remember?
They were doing it in the 50s. I don't know if they were doing it earlier than the 50s.
They build those Jeep things now because they built Jeeps during the war.
Yeah, that was
she's pretty cool, Tina. She's a very educated young lady. She's in her probably early 30s now, I'm guessing.
Mid 30s. She'll be 36 this year.
Oh, okay. And she's really pretty savvy. When she started in India, actually, where she picked up her first Himalaya, as they call them over there, Himalayan, as we would say it over here, Royal Enfield. And she really had never done that much motorcycle riding. She'd traveled on bicycles some. She'd done some other stuff. She had ridden motorcycles, but she hadn't traveled and she hadn't been off road. So she really had to learn a lot. And she has. She's quite adept, and she does all her videos, I think, are excellent. She's really gotten good at the video part of being a traveler. And if you're ever interested, just look up Itchy Boots and pull up some of her stuff. She's got some beautiful scenery that she shows off pretty regular. But she's I think in the social media world or the world of YouTube and that sort of thing, she's a rock star at this point, I think. She seems like a really decent person too. She about got stuck during the pandemic. She was in South America, and they basically locked her down, and she had to get out of there to get back to she's from the Netherlands. I don't know if I said that or not. Anyway, and you see they've got a couple of different ways. In this early picture here, she's got hard cans on her bike, but she's got a big bundle of stuff tied on top. And here's some more. I don't know why I got so many women. But different things can happen to you on the road. And here's, this lady's got another Kawasaki. I think that's a KLR, unless it's a KLX. And she's got gear scattered everywhere. Obviously, she's had a front. Oh, she's got her top box using that for a jack.
For a work stand.
Yeah, that's an interesting.
Yeah, that looks like a KLR.
and she got a front wheel off of it, so she's in the mood or in the mode of that. This young lady over here's got a BMW, some model, an RS or not an RS. Well, maybe it is, or an ST, maybe.
And it might be a K bike too.
Yeah,
They made several with that weird looking fairing on it.
and bottom right is this young lady's using a bike just like Phil's, but different color. And then this lady over here, her name is Elspeth Beard.
Yeah.
And she was, I think they give her credit for being the first woman to solo tour the world. I think maybe.
Yeah, I think so. She's an architect by trade.
Yeah, and I've got her book.
Oh, did you? I haven't bought her book.
Yeah, riding. I think it's called Riding Solo. But the interesting thing about her bike, see those containers or bags on her cans on her bike, she built those. She had those together because she didn't have anything else, didn't know what to use, I guess, or maybe couldn't find what she wanted, so she built that. Now I think she did all this back in the probably early 70s. I can't remember the dates now. Like I said, I've got the book, but I don't have it in front of me. But anyway, she's been all around the world a couple times now, I think. And then you can also do this on a Vespa. And I just kind of wanted to see how Vespas get packed. Oh, I just realized that's a Connie up there in the upper right. Yeah. Connie and a scooter. But you can see here kind of how this guy's done. He's got a sleeping bag. He's got a tent. One of these might be a rain flyer or a sleeping pad, be my guess. And some kind of a soft duffel under that. And then he's got saddlebags. And this is an early Vespa. These are older models for sure. But they've just got all their stuff strapped onto the back. They got like big bicycle seats on those. You know, I'd almost wonder about those trucks in the background if these aren't in Russia somewhere.
It's hard telling.
Yeah.
I just finished a YouTube series about those two guys taking CT 125s across the Transamerica Trail. That was a laugh riot.
I bet it was. I need to look that up. I thought this was a really cool advertisement. And it's about a Vespa, the Vespa Club of America, American Scooterist. And so they don't call themselves scooter trash, Phil.
It's like Beaver Cleaver on the back there.
It does. And as you can see, they've got all their stuff strapped right there on the front. Look like they've got a couple of fly rods or fishing poles, and they got some sleeping bags and a big old tent. And I'd about bet if you can see the back, I bet this kid's leaning up against stuff, but he's getting it through the mountains there. He's probably loaded up this guy's got a spare fuel tank. I didn't even notice that. And this is on the Blue Ridge Parkway.
There's a scooter cannonball starting up here next week sometime.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because one of the guys that did the TAT thing, his buddy has got a GTS 300 that he's geared up for the scooter cannonball. And he's got a Rotopax on the front of his somewhere. One of those Rotopax gas cans.
Yeah.
So he's loaded for bear and getting ready to go.
There's a guy that rides with the Misfits bunch out in Santa Cruz, California that Norman Reedus met. Went to his first series, and I follow them occasionally. I listen to their podcast sometimes. They're crazy, but they've got a guy that rides scooters. That's one of the main members, and he has either attempted one of those or has been cross country on one of his scooters. And he's got 2 or 3. I think he might even have a Lambretta, but I think he's mostly got old Vespas. But I need to look and see if he's going to do that. Where's it? Do you know where it's starting from? East or west?
I think it's starting from east. I'm not sure though. And just the guy that's doing it, his YouTube channel is called Johnny Pow Rides.
Johnny
He's
Powell.
Johnny Pow, POW.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll have to look that up.
Yeah. But he's I think he says it starts the 25th, which is Sunday.
Yeah, Tina, she was young at the time. She was just kind of fresh out of college. So she's British, and she decided that was something she wanted to do. Like Phil said, she's an architect. I think she has her own firm now, or did.
Yeah, she's got a real cool house that looks like it's built inside of a silo, a brick silo.
Oh, cool. I hadn't seen that. Well, maybe I did see that. Because she used to work for somebody else, and she went off probably to give her that extra amount of freedom to do what she wanted to do. And because I know she still does appearances and comes over here and rides. I don't know what age she is now. I guess about our age. Maybe a little older.
I think she's older than us, or at least. Yeah. I think she's in her 70s.
What was that lady's name, Phil, that used to ride the BMWs and put in all the mileage? Do you remember her?
Did she show up around here?
I'm not sure. She might have, but she was always in the BMW magazines for mileage award winners.
That's right. It might be Vonnie Glaves. Her and her husband live in Alpine, Texas now, and they're both million-mile riders. I think she's getting over 1.5 million. That Polish chick from Australia that rides around the world, she just got done going through the Big Bend area, and she stopped at their house to change tires on her bike.
Cool.
I think it's on her bike is her YouTube channel. It's
I follow her. Yeah,
Kinga. She stopped to look for the Big Bend stuff, and you'll see where she stopped at their house, and she and Paul changed the tires on her bike.
Oh, cool. Well, anyway, that's the lady that I'm talking about. She was up in her 70s or even 80s, I think, when she quit or passed away.
Might have been Artist Kellerman.
That's who it was.
Yeah, little old lady looking.
Yeah, I think she rode solo unless she was with a group. But
Artist Kellerman was pretty much a solo rider.
But she racked up tons of miles every year, especially for someone one might think for her age. But
to me, like
down much.
It seems like she died in an accident on the bike. I don't think old age got her. I think probably somebody turned left in front of her.
Probably. That happens to people. There's just a couple of tents, and kind of the lower one's kind of an artistic thing. There's a V-strum up there, DL, and a small tent. I don't know what kind. It might be a little camel of some sort. And I first saw lightweight backpacking tents out at Philmont because we were carrying canvas pup tents, which weighed a ton, especially if they got wet. And we ran into a bunch of scouts from Virginia somewhere, and they all had these little blue lightweight tents that looked a lot like that. And of course, we thought, man, those guys are cheating.
Were Timberlines out that early? Eureka Timberline?
They might have been. Yeah, they could have been.
That's the first thing I had after I borrowed one for my first trip down in the bottom of the Grand Canyon. And when I got back home, I bought one.
Those are good tents. I mean, they just first one I ever saw. I think Kevin had. Anyway, you can see this guy's just the thing about riding and camping is a lot of times, or at least in some countries, you can camp anywhere. And it's amazing too. These folks ride all over the world, and very seldom do you hear about them having trouble. I mean, most of the locals they get treated really well. They don't go in, I guess, and try to act, better than anybody else. And they get a lot of local help and kind of, I won't almost say protection, but I mean, it's pretty, they meet a lot of interesting people on the road. And you can see this is another one that's similar territory, but I really like this one. These mountains. I don't know, but that one might be in Europe. Not sure about this one. Looks like lava rock almost. That could be Arizona.
Yeah, desert Southwest somewhere.
Yeah. And these are the kind of bikes that you might see out there that people tour on, and they pack all their gear in nowadays. Although these aren't brand new modern, these are all several years up models. Oh, you might have a traditionalist riding an Indian that not an old Indian, by the way. This is a new model Indian, but they've got leather bags, or at least leather covered bags. Some of these are metal on the inside. Yeah, Carol, that's the neat thing about it. If you can beat that time thing and you can just go camp and you got your home and your back or your packs, and you just got everything with you and you just go. And what I was going to say that was going to get me in trouble is this white motorcycle is a Moto Guzzi Norge, which was Norge was the word for Norway in Italian apparently, and we just call it Norge, Norge. But I think this is one of the prettiest and sexiest motorcycles I have ever seen. I don't know why, but this is one of the most pleasing aesthetically. I mean, it's the curve of the pipes, it's the shape of the headlights. Man,
I would agree with that.
it's just a pretty bike. So I won't let my tongue hang out or anything, and I won't get in too much trouble. But man, that's just gorgeous. It's just a gorgeous machine, and I really thought I'd like to have one.
Have you seen the new water cooled one?
Oh no, I haven't.
It's styled kind of like that, but not like a full fairing, but kind of like a half fairing. The intakes turn 90 degrees, so it's on the top and the exhaust dumps out the bottom, and it's water cooled. So it's called the V100 Mandello.
Oh, I'll have to look for that. So are the cylinders finned, or are they just slick?
I think they've got short fake fins on them, kind of like some you see, but I've not seen any hit the dealerships around here yet, but I would definitely like to climb on one of those.
Yeah. That seating position on this bike was one of the most comfortable feeling bikes I've ever sat on. I really hate that I never got to ride one because, I mean, they just seemed to fit me perfectly. I think you could have done some real distance on it. Or at least I think I could have. And I just, I think it would have been comfortable for me to go, at least at that time. And here's another kind of a minimalist concept. This guy's just got an old tarp or an old pup tent of some kind, and he's got it tied on one end of his bike and staked that on the ground over here, and he's just pulled up by a river, and he's, living the life. And I'm not sure. I think this is some kind of Yamaha or Kawasaki down here, but it might be a Yamaha, actually.
Yeah, it's got a disc brake on it.
Yeah.
Might be a 650. The old Yamaha 650.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
With them mufflers on it.
It's just, that's a few years back too, and he got most of his stuff strapped on, but he's got some kind of, looks like these are made for the job, these side bags, although he's got big bungees on them, so maybe it's homemade.
Yeah.
And I put this picture in on the right just because I thought it was kind of cool.
That dude needs tires on the left.
Yeah, he does. Look at that center stripe.
Mercy. Yeah, just a little word of caution. When you get down to the steel belt, you better go find you some more tires because you're going to have a flat on the way home. Ask me how I know.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, there's no worse feeling than when they get like that. I didn't have steel bands, but the first tires on my Concours, I'll never forget. We were going to Kentucky to see the ice girl or the glacier girl, and
Oh, okay.
my tire in the back. I was getting ready to replace it. It was getting to that point, and I hit. It was raining part way up there, and I hit some paint stripe, and that thing started dancing out from under me. And I thought, man, this tires are gone.
Yeah.
Changing these tires right
Yeah.
away.
Yeah. I looked at mine and I said, I think there's one trip left in that. Just barely there was.
Interesting factoid here, a fact. Tires on motorcycles don't last as long as tires on cars. The front might, but the rears seldom go more than 10,000 miles. Some do, but there's a lot of them that don't even get near that. And I guess because they're sticky, they tend to be softer and they're stickier, so they handle better. But this is actually a dirt tire
Yeah, that looks like
that he's run on the road a lot.
that Continental big block thing. That's a Beamer of some kind.
Yeah, I can't tell what model or anything, but it's angle head, I think. So it's a
Yeah,
relatively new
oil head or a hex head.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
not an airhead.
Just reminded me of the oil rag guy.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
And Phil's got a Moto Guzzi.
I have a Stelvio.
Stelvio.
This here is a V85 TT here. That's the thing that replaced the Stelvio.
Yeah, it's small, a little bit smaller. It's lighter. And I don't know if they've sold a lot of these or not.
Yeah, they have. They have sold a lot.
That's good. And this is another travel picture up at the top. And this is kind of the thing. I have these for several reasons. One, the trailers. This is the kind of thing I've been looking at to figure out if this is what's going to be able to put me back on the road is one of these three wheelers. Two in the front, one in the back. It's called a Spider. And one like this has got it's got a trunk in the front.
Yeah, this is a fine Canadian machine. Is the Canadian fella here today?
Yeah, well, he was. Diana is. She's here.
Yeah, these are made by Bombardier.
I'm going to miss this. Oh, you have to sneak out now. We're just getting ready to talk about the Canadian motorcycle. Anyway, it's a Can-Am made by Bombardier. I think probably out of Quebec, aren't they? Weren't they originally a French company?
No, the Bombardier guy, I think, was a French Canadian that started, this with the snowmobile thing.
You too, Diana. Thanks for stopping by. Tell Mike we said we miss him. You guys take care. But this is, I'm looking at this because if my bad leg don't ever get better, then I don't have to try to hold something up. But what we're going to point out, and Diana's not going to be here to see it, but the top picture on the upper right is a camper. I think this one is. It looks like this is a pop-up camper, much like you see people pull behind cars. And you start unfolding this thing, and some of them are, I think, amazingly large considering what they come off of. And this on the bottom down here actually this trailer is made by Bombardier for the Spider.
Okay.
And it's smaller, but this is the kind of thing if you're doing a lot of traveling with your, as a couple or whatever, and you just can't fit everything into all these suitcases and things on the bike, you can add one of these. And I have seen people, not this particular box, but I have seen people pulling a trailer that their dog was riding in. Teddy, would you ride in that? No comment. But anyway, so there's ways you can do it, and I really just put the Spiders in here because one, there is a part of me that'd like to have one of these, and two, I thought it was kind of neat that they hitch up so well, the trailers, and I mean, if you're going to pull something, I can't think of much that'd pull any better. I saw a gold wing yesterday pulling a picture of a gold wing pulling a really big looking. Well, actually, it was a gold wing trike
Uh,
with the two tires in the back, and he was pulling a really big camper for a motorcycle. And for example, up here is another spider, but look at this little
nice little teardrop.
nice little teardrop, perfect size to pull right behind your uh, your spotter. These things don't get great gas mileage. I have to bet that when you're pulling something like that, it goes way down.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably low 30s, high 20s.
Yeah. And
That's
this camper at the bottom is one like I showed a minute ago, and they've got it folded out. So, I mean, you can see that that's a pretty good size.
I think they have queen size beds in them. I
Yeah,
believe.
they probably do.
I think that one that if it was Bob Winter had it or Jim, the other school teacher. Anyway, it was one of the BMW rallies, and he had pulled that thing in there and set it up, and it unfolds like a house of cards.
Yeah.
And then then it has a queen size bed in it.
The it is, Tina, and like Phil's red motorcycle gets, what do you get, 50, 65 miles a gallon on the KLR?
Yeah, I've gotten as high as 62 out of it, not any higher than that.
My Connie, I used to average over 45, and on a trip I'd get 55 sometimes.
Yeah,
Of course, we didn't ride like wild Indians all the time, so that helped. They are fun, Carol, but all motorcycles can be fun. I got hooked very early in my life, so it's really a strain. And then here's something I've always wanted to try, and that's camping on a motorcycle with instead of a tent, using a hammock. And obviously, this place at the top is perfect for that, the way the trees are lined up. And down at the bottom, I don't know. This guy, they didn't say this. This might be somewhere in the southwest, but it almost looks like the outback of Australia. I don't know. Maybe the dirt's not red enough. But he's got one set up. And then somebody has always said, what about no trees? Well, this is a rig right here that you don't need trees.
When we camped at Tellico Plains here about a month ago, that feller at the campground has got hammock frames down there now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can rent a hammock frame from him and throw your rig up on that.
Oh, cool. That's a good idea. Brenda, do you share my dream?
Better make that 2 hammock frames.
As much as I like comfy air conditioned hotel, I'd love the idea of spending less and not needing reservations. Well, you do need reservations if you're going to stop in like a motorcycle campground or something, but there's a lot of places. I mean, there are places, if you know your way around, you can find public land that you can camp on.
Right. Yeah.
As long as you don't overstay your welcome, which you're not going to if you're riding a bike.
And the 2 places I've camped here recently, no reservations were needed. It's just an open field. You just show up, and if the dude is closed, you pay him the next morning. In the case of this place in Obed that we just got done with, he had a drop box in a little shed where he kept his firewood, so you could buy the firewood and pay for your spot. But he also had a Venmo thing where you could do Venmo with a Q code and pay then. So he had it going there. It was pretty. It was pretty sparse camping. I mean, it was only $10 a night, and it just had 2 plastic Al Hildy shrines there, and a water spigot sticking out of the ground, and that was it. So
this is where you stayed Saturday.
Yes, pretty rustic. Yeah.
So that drinking place that I'm going to show here in a minute closer up, it was not at the campground.
No. Lily Pad was about a mile and a half away on the other side of the Obed River there.
We have stayed at that, or no, I didn't stay. We visited that one. You might have stayed actually down there. Well, you have at Tellico Plains, I think. That campground that was there. That guy had a nice pavilion up kind of on the hill.
Yeah.
And then an open field basically for camping.
Yeah. This new owner turned the pavilion into his little camp store, but he's got a nice setup in the gazebo over the hill next to the cabins.
Oh,
and
okay.
We were hanging out. We were hanging out at the gazebo there and letting our stuff dry until the Harley guys showed up.
I've always wanted to figure out a way to. I always thought there ought to be some way that, at least if you've got a heavier motorcycle, and I think what this guy's done, he's tied up on one end to the back of the motorcycle, maybe to the wheel. I see a line, but I don't know if that's a stake or not. Looks like he's got a brick under the rear wheel.
That looks pretty sketchy.
This side's tied down to the picnic
table, yeah.
And these are supposed to be stable and not that hard to use. So, and they're lightweight enough that you could. And they come these. I've seen a video on this one. These poles collapse down to about this long.
Okay, so sort of like tent poles.
So they're like tent poles, only they don't come apart. They actually telescope in.
Okay.
And I'm not sure what they're made of. I didn't read the specs down that far, but they'll hold 10 foot, 12 foot. He talked about different length hammocks, and which most of the ones you see around are about 10 feet now, most of the time, 9 to 10.
I actually used that REI camp chair that you gave me a long time ago. That's the first time I've ever used it.
Oh,
cool. Mainly because I was afraid my big fat butt would collapse it, but it actually held up.
Oh, it'll hold you. I swear, it'll hold my big one.
I've got to kind of ease down into it. But
you probably wouldn't want to flop in it.
Yeah. Jim had a similar kind. His wasn't an REI, but it would look like a similar design, and we sat around there burning the camp wood with those things.
They're pretty comfortable. What's wrong with them is getting out of them.
Yeah, it's kind of, you're down there low like a Kermit chair.
You got to roll out. I got to kind of roll out on all fours and then stand up. And here's another that tent that rig set up here, and he's tied to the back. That's a scooter there. Looks like a Bergman maybe.
You better have the brake set.
Looks like he's got the center stand down.
Yeah.
He better. Hang on a minute. What's that?
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
Yeah, really. I'm gonna tell a story on myself. Oh, well, not on myself. We had a bat in here one day.
A bat?
Yeah, did I not ever tell you about that? We looked up. Maybe one of the cats looked up. This has been a year or so ago, maybe a year and a half. And I looked up on the chimney downstairs. I got this bricked-in fireplace. And I looked up, and there was a bat hanging onto the bricks there. And I noticed that there was a hole in the ceiling right where the chimney comes in and they join up. Not a big hole, but just a hole.
Yeah.
And that's bound to be how he got in. So I'm sure we've got him in the attic. I know I've got bats in this belfry. And so I had to catch him and get him out. And I stuffed a bag into that hole so they can't come through. But I hear something like that behind me. I'm always thinking that there's another bat in here and he slipped off the wall or something.
The big black snake drop out of that hole.
Well, it could be. I ever told you about those stories? We used to have black snakes in the ceiling at TVA when I was working up there at Norris. Every once in a while, you'd hear one go across the roof through the tile. Oh, Carol says I need a sidecar for Teddy and the other kitties. Oh, Brenda says, look here, she did own up to it, Tina. Look at that. Maybe I could get a trailer with a Teddy bubble, where he could stick his head up and watch the world go by. I know, I've got a feeling.
Strike while the iron's hot. Head over to REI and get you another another hammock.
Actually, I've got 2 hammocks. I just need another rainfly, I think. And this rig down here is another tent that somebody came up with. There's a couple of these out there. Phil, I don't think you much like these.
No, I don't like the idea of it. I do notice they've got the bike parked the right way, though.
Yeah, they do. If it's going to fall, it should go that way.
Yeah.
I saw one yesterday while looking for these that was a different brand. It wasn't this Lone Rider brand. This Lone Rider, I believe, is the same outfit. You remember that tank bag I bought? Well, actually, I had some side bags too.
Yeah.
And I think they came from the same outfit. They changed the name on them.
Oh,
But
okay.
anyway, the one I saw yesterday, the bike was actually parked. The tail end of the bike was in the vestibule end, and the nose of the bike was pointed towards the tent. So if it did fall over, it wouldn't fall over, on you.
On you. The occupant side of the tent has got a door on both ends.
Yeah.
Because
it might be for just in case.
Yeah, because there's a lady I follow, a British lady that just got one of these, and she's also got a Himalayan, and she's getting ready to do a tour of France, and she's taking that tent with her, and she had set her tent up the other day and was showing off all the features of it.
Cool. Is it a Lone Rider or a different?
Yes, it was a Lone Rider.
I get emails from them all the time. They've been sending me stuff for years about their new bag. They've gone a lot further now. The bags are a lot better. The equipment's set up, laid out different.
Their equipment, their side bag, their soft bags are pretty pricey. They're right up there with Moscow Moto for there's like an $1,100 set of side bags. Pretty
That's
pricey.
what Moscow's are. I looked at them yesterday. I've got a picture, I think. Anyway, this tattoo has absolutely nothing to do with this, but I just liked it.
That's Moto lady. I used to follow her on Facebook. She's out of Portland, Oregon.
Oh, okay.
She's got a Ducati Monster that she
well, that's a Ducati shirt.
Yeah, did a lot of the fabrication and stuff herself on it.
Says faster until the thrill of speed overcomes the fear of death. And that's kind of true in a way. Because I'll have to admit there is a thrill to hitting that noisemaker and just letting it rip once in a while. And this is the kind of stuff you pack, this is the video. These are actually attached to videos, I believe, that I didn't copy the link.
I think that lower right corner, I think that's a 40 times around guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. FTA Adventures is what he calls his channel now. He's out of Arizona.
I just now noticed he's laying there flying the drone that's taking the picture.
Yeah.
Got the remote control in his hand right there. And that's something else that Itchy Boots has. She's got that really cool drone, and a lot of them do now, but that will kind of fly like autopilot. Follow your bike.
Yeah.
You can lock it onto the signal from your transmitter, and then it will actually follow you for a ways and, video you going down the road, which I thought was cool as heck first time I saw it. Anyway, obviously you need to learn to pack kind of light, and you got to, and most people are honestly terrible at that until they have to do it and pare down things, and I guess just learn to get along without stuff. We will have to get some little goggles for the kitties. They make them for dogs, Carol, and they call them doggles. Doggles. That might be it. I mean, I have, yeah, in the payoff here. I just thought this was a cool site. This person, young lady, whatever, is reading or she's looking at her phone, and I guess she's near enough civilization. She has a phone, but I thought that was a
That's
cool camping site.
Yeah, it took a while to set that shot up with all that lighting.
I bet. Oh, hers.
Yeah.
And the motorcycle's lit from something. I wonder if there was a car back here or something, or maybe another motorcycle with a headlight on.
I don't know. A lot of times, people, like pop lights and stuff in there while the exposure's going.
And then this has got something looks brighter than a candle lantern or something in the tent. But she's got one of those chairs too.
Yeah.
Oh, I just noticed something. There's two, so she's got somebody with her. There's two chairs.
Yeah, sure enough.
And then this is a picture that Phil sent me. This was from your last trip, and this was Hoppy.
Lily Pad Hop Yard.
Lily Pad Hop Yard.
That's a place I would have never visited if we hadn't done this camp out, because it is literally in the middle of nowhere.
Carol says that looks like a good beer, Phil. Can you expound on that a little bit?
It was his pale ale, and it was incredibly hoppy for a pale ale, I thought, but it was pretty tasty, and only $6 a pint. I thought that was a fair price. And he had a luau going on that day with all the bad bands, and we ate dinner from a food truck there, and then headed on over to the campground and set up sometime right around, I don't know, about an hour before sundown. But that whole area, that's on the back side of Lansing, and kind of like pushed up against the edge of the plateau, and it's pretty wild over there.
Is that north of 40 or south?
I
can't remember.
North of 40.
Okay.
Yeah, it's north of 40, because Harriman would be 40, and then you're coming up to Wartburg.
Right.
And then you go farther north and turn off to Lansing, and then you start doubling back towards, where all those little crooked roads were at.
But not up against.
No, not right up against it. But you get back there, and there's just no roads anywhere. The Cumberland Trail runs through there, a section of the Cumberland Trail.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's not completely. It's still in segments. I don't think it's complete through Tennessee yet.
Anyway. I don't know if it is or not.
Yeah.
But, they actually make covered sidecars that have a pull down cockpit window or bubble. I've seen them.
Most of the people that were camping in that campground where we were at were rock climbing.
Yeah.
When we crossed the river, I looked at the river, and I was talking to Jim on our headsets, and I said, "Man, that river looks too low to kayak." And then we got to the campground, and there was like 10 or 12 people camped there. And so I wonder what these people are doing. And one came over to visit us, and he said he was rock climbing. He'd been down there from Cincinnati. And
there's a fair bit of that goes on now over there.
So I was talking to him about Red River Gorge, and he says, "Oh yeah, I've been over there plenty. That's Red River Gorge up in Kentucky is primo rock climbing, world famous." Aren't you glad they didn't dam that up and make a lake out of it?
Yeah,
because they talked about it for a long time.
Oh, did they?
Oh yeah. If you ever read the book Night Comes to the Cumberlands,
I've got the book. I hadn't read it.
Well, that's when they first started talking about, this part of the state. It's useless. It's been timbered off. It's been, coals all mined out. What better thing to do than dam up the river and make a lake out of it?
Oh, yeah.
but they did.
All that stuff, but the coal will grow back. Now the coal may grow back eventually
Yeah,
if the planet lasts long enough.
yeah. Pressure makes diamonds.
Yeah, Phil's good at finding places with good beer, Carol. I mean, I'm not saying but he knows what to look for.
I think that's the major reason that Jim tours with me.
Yeah, you could be right. Well, Phil has a reputation in the local cycling world as being a leader. He comes up with good rides, and has to unfortunately make they end up making him lead them, or used to anyway. And we used to try if we were doing a ride somewhere, we used to try to always work in some place like that to stop. Although the drinking part, I didn't really we always kept that to the end usually, but there's some people who don't. And one beer would probably be fine, but some people can't stop that early.
Well, for beer drinkers, these are the good old days.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. 20 years ago, we didn't have any of these places.
Yeah, when I started up in Northeast Ohio, there wasn't anything. They were all the same style of lousy beer.
All owned by Wiedemann too, just about, weren't they? Wiedemann?
Heilman. Heilman. Wiedemann. Wiedemann was actually not too bad until Heilman got a hold of them, and then they changed the recipe to dog style there, as Roy Christopher called it.
Dog style.
Old style, but Roy says everybody in Chicago calls it dog style. But anyway, I'm working on the fall trip. We're going to go up through. You ever heard of Burke's Garden?
Yeah.
We're going to go to Burke's Garden and come out the back side of it, which is a really, really steep, crooked gravel road that's part of the Transamerica Trail. And camp, and camp in the Hungry Mother State Park.
Oh, I've been to Hungry Mother, but
and then the next day we're going to go up to New River Gorge and camp up there.
Been there.
And then the following day will be a motel day at a vintage road, not a roadhouse, but a vintage motor court on the old Lincoln Highway.
Oh, cool.
Real close to Johnstown, because I want to go to the Johnstown Flood Museum. And then the next day, Punxsutawney to go see the groundhog. And then Titusville, Pennsylvania to see the first oil well. And camp again in not Adirondack, but Allegheny State Park in the edge of southern New York.
Wow, you're going to get up there.
Yeah, and then we're going to cross over into Canada and stay overnight in Niagara Falls in a motel and look at the falls. That was what Jim wanted to do, was Niagara Falls. Come back down, camp again close to State College, and then go to Gettysburg the following day in the motel of Gettysburg and visit that for a while. Then come down to the following day through Harper's Ferry, and then pick up the northern end of Shenandoah State Park and ride to a campground there on the north end of Shenandoah, and then do Skyline Drive and the north end of Blue Ridge Parkway and stay at Willville again. And I haven't planned past Willville. I've got so right there, that's like 10 or 11 days. So.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Only 3 motels, so that's a lot of camping. So
yeah.
Hopefully the rain will be nice to us, like we lucked out last year in Arkansas. So that was a good trip. No rain at all. So
Carol, they went to Canada a couple of years ago also.
2019 was the Manitoulin Island trip.
Wow, that'd been that long ago. I guess it was.
That was before I retired.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that was on the Goose, and he was on he's on his F6B
He's
He's
on his arm.
Bagger Goldwing.
Was that how many days was that trip? Wasn't that 7 or 8 or 10?
That was 8 days, I think. I believe it was 8. Because we tried to squeeze everything into a week and 2 weekends.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we parted ways at Horse Cave, Kentucky, and he went on home, and then I went my direction. I think that was on day 9, maybe.
Yeah, Jim's always usually on a little tighter schedule. He's got a position where he works that he can't always get away that long, or at least it's been in the past. I don't know how that's working now, but
it's
sometimes
the
that's been an
way.
issue.
It's
Yeah, I
the
figured
same
it
way.
was.
He's always got that head in a vice feeling.
Yeah, it'd be really nice. He'll really love it if he ever gets retired and can let it go long enough to let that let that ease up. So
Yeah, let it go.
he, yeah, I mean he's one of those guys that's usually. I mean, I guess I'd have to say he seems dedicated to his job, and I'm going to assume does a good job. But he's always watching that phone in case there's a big crisis or a problem, and he's got to deal with, or I guess, or making decisions on the phone. I'm not sure, but Phil's also been cross country twice on motorcycle, or just once?
Just once on the bike. I took the BMW out there in 91 and took 5 days out and 5 days back. That was back when I didn't have a lot of sense and no riding gear to speak of, and got wet a lot. And I had that rubber suit that I bought from Johnny Collins.
Oh yes,
like a rain suit. That was special. But yeah, that was a good trip. That was the first time I also hit Big Bend. I stayed overnight in Princess Basin on the bike, and tented up there, and that was my first exposure to that. And I've been back 5 times since then. It's my favorite national park.
Probably one of the least visited national parks, or it used to be. I don't know if it is now or not, but because it's kind of down there, for lack of a better term, middle of nowhere, in a sense. It's on the edge of the country, but
yeah,
it's still down there kind of by itself, and most people don't even know what it is or where it is. I think it's gotten more popular in recent years because dual sport riders and people like that have talked about it and spread the word around a little bit.
Yeah, plus they got the big chili cook-off is down there in Terlingua.
Yeah, and I know there was a group of Connie guys, concours riders that used to go down there every winter for a week or so and ride some of the road. I can't imagine there being great roads, but they were riding asphalt, so they were riding somewhere. Because one of the guys, unfortunately, got hit by a car one day and it ruptured his what did it do? So he had the same accident that the racer had. Which one it was? I can't think of his name. I can see this, but Jason Creedmoor.
Yeah.
Creedmoor. He had it ruptured an artery or something behind his innards, and they didn't realize it for a while. And they caught it just in time, and same thing happened to that guy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he was in the middle of nowhere, and he was up helping the other people in the wreck, and he said he was fine. He was he was walking around, and then he just fell over, and that's what
bled out inside.
Yeah, bled out internally. He didn't even feel any pain apparently.
That road from Terlingua to Presidio is just awesome. It follows the river. It's I think Texas Route 170. But I think that was the road the guy was running.
There's a crossroads there somewhere. Is that's
Studi Butte?
Okay,
that's on the west side of the park. That's where the road from Alpine comes in.
That's where they had to go to get help.
Yeah.
The nearest, and I probably still is. That was the nearest evac or
Yeah, because
EMTs that could
Fort,
come down to help him.
Fort Stockton, or because there ain't nothing in Marathon, and then Fort Stockton's the next town north of Marathon, and then Alpine and Marfa's up there on west of that. So it's you're in tough situation if you get hurt.
Yeah, when you're out like that. But again, you got some people are looking for checking that payoff. That I'd like to go. I'd still like to go out and ride. Well, I'd like to ride a lot of places, but I'd like to go out and ride the Highway 1 in California and ride with Passion at one time out there, just because he does such cool roads.
Yeah.
Up, she's got to get ready for bowling. Thanks, Carol. Appreciate you coming by. Tell everybody we said hi. Tell Danny I said Happy Father's Day.
Saturday Bowling League.
Yeah, they were going to take Danny bowling, her husband, for Father's Day, I guess. Don't beat him. Nobody can beat him since it's Father's Day. Remind the kids that.
Intentional gutter balls.
Yeah, intentional gutters. Tina says she's hound wrangling and doing macrame. She's got, I think she's got 2 big old hound dogs left. She was, had 3, I think, and one got adopted. She fostered, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Tina, but don't you foster them? And somehow she got into hounds, so. Anyway, that's all cool things that I really wanted to do when I retired. So I don't know if I'll get there or not, but maybe if I can get off my arse and get this leg working a little bit better. But that's the thing about the Can-Am. It doesn't have any left. You don't need your left foot if you buy the upper, the Spiders now. They've got automatic and they've got a paddle shifter. And
so both levers are like a scooter then? Brakes on both?
They got they got link brakes, but it's got a foot brake on the right side.
Oh, okay.
But there's nothing on the left side. There's no shifter lever or anything. It's just, so I can just put my leg in there. And I think Brenda was trying to say, have fun bowling, Carol. Have fun bowling. She's talking to her phone. She's not typing. Have fun bowling. There you go. Oh, me. The girls are coming over. I just found out last night they're going to come over and help me finish putting up some of my junk, which makes me stress like crazy because I never know what they're going to do. I'm going to be here this time, which is a good thing. Last time they came in and cleaned this out, I think they threw some stuff away.
Yeah, either that or check on their website.
Yeah. That's a good point. Especially now that Jen's running her own show. Anything I've got worthy, she'll have it sold off. All I got to say about that is, 1, but she better ask first, and 2, I get some money out of it.
20%.
Yeah, at least. I'm thinking that ought to be more like 60 my way. But anyway, they're coming over tomorrow. And Brenda said something about eating, but I don't know what that meant.
You have to get out the grill.
That's possible. I'd rather do that than go out. I'd just not go out.
Yeah, it's probably not as bad as Mother's Day, but yeah.
No, it's probably not. But oh no, we adopt them from a foster rescue, and the dogs are doing macrame, and I untangle it. Okay, okay, misunderstood there. Well, I knew it had something to do with fosters. I didn't know you guys adopted them, but the dogs are doing the macrame, and she untangles it. Hey Don, you're in Magic Kingdom today or Animal Kingdom today? That sounds like fun. How are the crowds? The Hitchhiking Bones have joined us.
Had some rough weather down there yesterday.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. In some places they had a
Good
lot of rain.
tornado type stuff.
Uh,
It's like that cold front got down that far and was causing all kinds of problems.
the man, they had some nasty ones in Texas too, and down in the lower part of the kind of mid South. I don't know if they had anything. That one trailer park, it just wiped that out.
Hmm. Now they were having some of that 2 and 3 inch hail down there.
Oh yeah, I saw that too. There was a storm chaser out, and he saw the tornado touch down, and he had a little bit of film of it. It was a big old wide, nasty looking mother,
Hmm.
and it cut a swath through Perryton, Texas. Did you ever go through Perryton?
No.
Perryton.
Where is that?
That's out near Dallart and the Panhandle area. I don't know exactly,
Oh, okay.
but
All I can say about the Panhandle is what I-40 goes through. It says that's all the North Texas I've been through.
let me see. It could even be down by Amarillo.
Well, that's in the Panhandle.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. But it may be
Yeah.
closer to that.
First time we went through there, I-40 wasn't even done all the way.
Oh,
That was kind of cool. Run the interstate for a while, and then you had to get off and follow 66 for a little bit.
Perryton's right up on the right up against the Oklahoma Panhandle, actually.
Where the wind blows so bad, she's liable to land up in Oklahoma, and she, by God, didn't want to live in Oklahoma.
Oh, me. Oh, right, it's right by Booker and Spearman. I was going to look up something else. I now don't remember what I was going to look up. Oh, well, while I had the map up. Anyway, so that's your next trip. When you guys planning on doing that one?
Mid-September. I think I want to get up there before the
Beepers go.
right. Mid-September, I think, is when one of the BMW clubs is having their rally in the Seneca Rocks area, which I'm going through the Seneca Rocks area, but not staying there. But that's north of New River Gorge. But I think their rally's based in Davis, I think. But so there might be a lot of Beamers up there. But yeah, I was planning on trying to do it. And I think Jim's wife is trying to throw some stuff in the game there, wanting to go to the beach or something like that. So I don't know what, I'm going to let him sort that out and say, Jim, what's a good time for you? And then,
yeah, he better take care of that first.
Yeah. I don't want to become persona non grata or whatever they call it.
He won't be allowed to call you anymore.
Yeah.
She'll be after him. You're not talking to that Dalton guy again, are you? I'll check your phone. I think when Mark and I first started talking again, I mean, we hadn't talked to each other in so long once we got each other's phone numbers again. And I started talking to him. There was a couple of times where he and I were on the phone for about 3 hours. And we had a lot to catch up on. But his wife, Shauna, came home one day and he was on the phone. And she said, "Are you talking to Tim again?" She said, "You really realize that you never talked to me anywhere near that long before we got married."
So, no, honey, it's not Tim. It's one of them 900 numbers.
And she might have said, "Oh, okay, never mind." Oh. But anyway, I hope they're having a good time this weekend. Mark he dreads coming back. I mean, he dreads the weather for one thing. It's always so much the humidity just about kills him coming
Yeah.
back from Wyoming. And
Yeah, that's my sister. She talks about, say, man, I could never come back here. She said it's hot and sticky and you can't see anywhere. You know, there's,
you got to get up on a mountain.
yeah.
And it's foggy. I mean, it could be smoggy then, but it's not as bad as it used to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, his dad's always wants to talk to him about moving back east, I think. And
Is
that's
Larry over 80 yet, or is Larry past age 80 yet, or
about there? He's real close. I think he might be.
then my sister's
Well, I think I'll take that back. I know he probably is getting real close.
Yeah, my sister's coming up on 81. That's middle of next month.
Sandy.
Yeah.
We're getting around pretty good.
Yeah, not too bad. She's kind of crippled up with arthritis and that kind of stuff. So she's starting to, look like your dowager's hump thing, and can't stand up straight and whatnot. That kind of sucks. I'm just glad that her daughter's there,
Yeah.
So she's got somebody, because they're on the backside of nowhere in that canyon. So
yeah, they are. Is Prescott the nearest town to
them? No, Chino Valley is.
Chino Valley.
Yeah, that's 7 miles from the canyon to Chino, and then 15 more miles down to Prescott from Chino.
No, that's not. I mean, it is in the middle of nowhere because it's out there in the middle of the desert canyon country by itself, but at least it's not too far away for help if you need it. Maybe not real close, but
yeah,
there's plenty of places around here that can't get to you either for way longer than that.
It's developed to the point where there's only 2.5 miles of bad road now instead of 7 miles.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe just 2 miles of unpaved road. So that's not too bad from what it used to be.
I bet. Do they have to? Is that all having to get paid privately to get people's?
It's not county maintained.
That's what I want.
Yeah, usually they gotta pitch in with somebody to get a track hoe out there, or a grader or something.
Yeah.
It gets too much of a mess. Somebody will finally say, "Hey, anybody want to pitch in on a grader here? I'd like to fix the road." So.
Yeah, that happens here too on some of these places where people build way off the roads, and they always want somebody to take care of the roads, but they don't want anybody using it.
Yeah. Funny how that is, isn't it?
Yeah, how that works out.
Yeah.
Oh, me. Well, I think we've slowed down. We don't have as many people.
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm not as talkative as Mark, but.
No, you're doing good. No, you're fine. I'm getting a little sore in the tailbone, so I think I always try to wind it down by noon, so.
Oh, well, okay.
It's 10 too. I mean, sometimes we go longer than that, but it's just because we get started on something or tell some big tales. How many miles are on your KLR now? I meant to ask you that.
KLR's got right around 25,000 on it, and I've got to replace a fork seal on it before
Yeah.
So that was disappointing because that thing has gators on it. So like, how could you blow a fork seal on this thing?
Oh yeah, you do have gators.
You know, it's not like there's dirt getting in there, and so I've got to manage
down the fork down the leg.
Pardon?
Is it getting out?
Yeah, it was leaving a puddle in the floor.
Ah.
I parked it there after we got back from Arkansas, and I walked out there one day. I said, "Where'd that come from?" And lo and behold, it's piddling oil from the left fork. So I'm trying to decide whether or not to attack it myself or just pull the forks off of it and go over to Good Times and see if I can cut a deal. Hey, fellers, how much you charge me to do these forks?
Now that they're off the bike.
Yeah, because I was going to change the fork oil anyway, because I've never changed the fork oil on it. And I got home, and then now the darn thing's leaking. So I hate that.
Does anybody have any kind of seal kit that's supposed to? I can't remember if that's a common problem with those bikes or not. Do you remember? Connie's had a leaky seal issue somewhere.
No, I don't. I know there's some aftermarket seals out there that people say that work better, but I mean, heck, this thing's, let's see, it's 2023 and it's an 07. So, that's a lot of years on a seal. So
that's true.
So I don't know,
How many miles has Lucy got on
her? 24,000.
Oh,
yeah, I just rolled 24,000 on this trip. So, and that's due for a service, but that's just a valve adjustment and oil and gear lube and final drive lube, and that's pretty simple service.
Yeah, on that bike, it's not hard to do the valves.
Yeah, no, that's kind of like why I was interested in it. They're hanging out there in the breeze, and they're not shims.
Yeah. Easy to fix.
Yeah. I don't know. I've had a valve tightening up on the KLR every time I do a valve check, and it keeps getting tighter and tighter, but it was still within limits. So I don't know if it'll be within limits this time or not. But you got to pull the cams to do that, so that won't be fun.
No, that'll suck. And you got your Beamer, of course, and it's got probably more miles than anything else you own, doesn't it?
The Beamer and the VFR both have 36,000 on them.
Oh, really? I thought your Beamer had more than that.
No, it had about 36.
Connie's got, I think, 64,000 when I parked her, unfortunately. And I don't even have 15 yet on that Tenere.
Yeah, that had miles on it when you bought it, though.
About 8,000 or 9,000. I'd have to pull some. I'd have to find the record.
Decent use out of it then.
Yeah, so I put some miles on it. It's really just getting used to that bike and getting it, where I wanted the seat was right, and I think I had it just about where I wanted it with everything. Brenda is going to go ahead and say goodbye. That means she's probably going to take a nap.
We're boring the hell out of everybody.
Yeah, that's all right. Bye-bye. How about a fried Spam sandwich today? I've been trying to get that for several days. She don't want to do that.
I think Jim had Spam masubi over at the Hop Yard the other day. It was a Hawaiian dish.
Where do you have it at?
At the Hop Yard, they had
Hop Yard, yeah.
Yeah, they had kind of like Hawaiian stuff coming out of the food truck. I had a vegetarian bowl because I didn't want Spam.
You didn't want Spam, Phil. Spam's like the national food of Hawaii. A lot of people don't know that.
Last time I had Spam, I had a Spam masubi sushi roll out in Arizona when Melissa and I stopped somewhere. I said, well, I got to try this just because it's Spam. And came, a big hunk of Spam with rice, and it was rolled up in a big kelp, sleeve.
Yeah.
Wasn't really too bad, but just a little on the greasy side.
Well, that's part of the goodness of it.
Yeah. I guess they can't serve you raw Spam like
Yeah. Well, I bet they can.
Spam sushimi or sashimi.
Yeah, Tina. Yeah, that's exactly right. Some of us grew up eating Spam and bologna. Phil knows about some of that too, but
Yeah.
he grew up that way too. But I don't know if he ate Spam. They might not eat
No,
Spam.
Spam was too expensive for us. We ate the cheap Armor Star version.
Oh yeah, well we did
yeah,
too a lot.
yeah,
That's
Treat.
correct.
I think their brand was called
Yeah,
Treat.
yeah. I think Treat's the one that I used to like best when I fried it up.
Huh.
There was one of those that was I always thought was I knew some people that took first time I ever had it that way. Somebody took it camping in a short um, on a short trip, because it was in the can. Of course, back then everything we carried was in the can. But they had it, and I used to fix it here, or not here, but at home growing up, and man, I like that. I just got a taste for it. Of course, I love fried bologna too. So
Yeah.
I mean, I can eat bologna. Some bologna I don't like as much. But I used to get those. We used to get those bologna steaks at those country stores around Jonesboro and down along the river that were. Oh, they were just really good, and they were all usually the same kind of bologna, and it was crown bologna. And my buddy Kevin's dad used to get it by the roll himself and slice it up at home when they wanted a sandwich. And a lot of those country stores, you go in and ask for a bologna sandwich, and of course you're going to get white bread, but the bologna is going to be about that thick,
Yeah.
and then a hunk of what kind of looked like government cheese on top of that if you wanted cheese.
One of the things we used to do with bologna in a chub or a roll like that, when Mom would grind it up and make like ham salad, only it was bologna salad. Put pickles in it and mayonnaise, and
Yeah,
grind up the bologna and mix it up, and it looked like deviled ham. And
actually, that
that
might
was
not
pretty
be
good.
bad. I
Yeah,
never tried that. That's an interesting idea.
yeah, you'll have to try that. It's I recommend it.
I don't know if Brent. I'd have to probably do it. Well, she might do that. She kind of likes bologna
Yeah,
too.
you can usually have chub bologna at Kroger's, like a
Yeah.
little pound or 2 pound hunk, or you could fried bologna is very good. Yes, indeed. I used to ask for mine burnt crispy, and it just made Mom's stomach turn.
I
To
kind
get
of
up
like
in the
mine.
morning and fry bologna for my lunch for school. She did it anyway, but she told me years later, she said that used to turn my gut. I just want you to know that. Thanks, Mom. I love you too.
Yeah, I think I used to get up. Mom used to make me fried bologna for school for lunches when I took my lunch.
It was a nice change from egg salad. I ate a lot of egg
Yeah,
salad.
I did too.
Brown bag and egg salad.
Tina, when you say you liked it crispy, burnt crispy, or you mean you liked the ham salad part? I'm thinking you're talking about crispy fried, because that's kind of how I like it too. I wouldn't even care if it was a little burn around the edges, but I like things like that. Brenda, she doesn't like food that's that well cooked, and I don't want a steak or anything that like that. Although I do like a steak that's got some crispy fat around the edges. That's kind of tasty sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should just say that or not.
Like a
Oh,
hunk and ribeye on a hot grill.
or a pork chop. I
Yeah.
used to love that on a pork chop. Hey, there's a purple finch or a house finch. I believe that's the first one of those I've seen this year. Burnt crispy, delicious. My wife left just at the wrong time. We could have been talking bologna. But that crown bologna is what I kind of can't say I grew up eating it because Dad, he didn't care and he bought, cheap bologna or, if it, whatever was on sale this week. And it was pre sliced. But I like to go down and get that fresh cut off stuff and, eat it down there in those little stores that and drink it with a cold. What's his name called? What did Jerry Clower call those knee-high belly washers?
Knee-high belly washer. Hand me one of them knee-high belly washers.
We had a restaurant here that specialized in all that. Oh, really? There used to be a barbecue place up in Clinton area that used to smoke bologna in a roll like that. They'd take it and put it in a smoker and hang it or put it on a rack and let it smoke. I've never had it, but I've heard it's really good. I'd like to try it sometime.
Yeah, I had smoked bologna for the first time when Henry still lived in Tulsa. We went to a barbecue pit and ate this god awful amount of barbecue and stuff, and then he took us over to hang out at a darn go-kart track. I thought I was gonna barf all over after eating all that rich barbecue stuff, and then here we are out on go-karts.
That reminds me, I need to post. I never did post some pictures. We ate at a barbecue place down in Charleston. I meant to post some pictures of it.
Oh, on that last trip you did?
Yeah, and I've got reminded me was yesterday. I went to the store. I was looking for something in my bag, and I bought a koozie from them just to bring it home, and I meant to. That reminded me I needed to do that. So the pictures are all saved on my phone. So
where'd you guys stay down there? On the beach or?
No, we stayed back off the beach a pretty good ways now. I can't tell you exactly. I'd have to look at a map again. Now I can't remember exactly where we were. Hey, Rhonda, welcome in the Caffeinated Misfit. Good morning. Glad you got here before we said bye. You know me, I'm slow about saying bye. How's things in Hotlanta today? Go figure. Just woke up. Well, that's not always a bad thing. I'll probably be that way tomorrow. Sunday's usually the day I don't get too woke up.
Yeah.
I have to make up for all them nights Brenda keeps me up till 1 o'clock in the morning. And no one says Hotlanta anymore that is from here. Well, I ain't from there, and I'm rarely there. Most of the time I've been through there. What do they say now? ATL? I saw somebody's just saying ATL. One is early. Well, this morning I got it rolled out at 6, and I won't do that tomorrow, I guarantee you. I got up early. I always get up early on Saturdays and take a shower early, and then sometimes I run and get some breakfast. Today Brenda made me something. I'm just taking a nap.
It's too early for my Medicare nap.
What time is that?
That's usually 2 o'clock.
She said various things, but Hotlanta is like someone coming here and saying pop. Instead of a Coke, give me a Coke.
Or yeah, what's the other word? Soft drink, pop.
Yeah, soda.
Soda. That was what I was trying to think of. Give me a soda.
Oh, me. I may have to take I'm actually not feeling all that great myself at the moment. I may have to take a nausea pill. And everything is Coke here. Yeah, I grew up there. When I grew up, everything was a Coke. You go to the store and get a Coke, although it might be a Cheerwine. When you've said it, you've said a Coke. Once you got it, you might call it a Cheerwine, but when you were talking about it, it was let's go to the store and get a Coke. Funny, I didn't really like Cokes even back then.
Always a Pepsi man.
Always a Pepsi man or something else. I mean, back then we had so many. And we honestly had so much variety. There was a couple of little bottling companies up around Johnson City. I mean, we had a place that did things like knee high, and there was a lemonade that was in a bottle. I don't remember the name of it. Cheerwine and Doctor Enough, but I never drank Doctor Enough. It wasn't. I didn't. That was the Red Bull of yesteryear. Oh shoot! I wish I could remember. There was stuff and they had neat bottles. You know, the bottles, and they were glass, of course, with a deposit on them, so they got recycled, not thrown in the landfill. And there were just all kinds of neat stuff. I remember there was a couple. There was a couple of different varieties of a grape drink. There was knee high, which was kind of like the best, and there was
You remember Grapette?
yeah, they had grapette. That's one
Yeah,
of them. Yeah.
that was a good one.
Oh, they had. She's saying their Red Bull was Jolt.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
Jolt
Jolt came
Cola
along a
there.
little after.
Twice the
It came
or
along a
twice the
little after,
caffeine and all the sugar or something like
something
that.
like that. Hey, buddy. And there was Moxie Cola. Tina, do you remember? I'm not saying because you're older, but I think they sold Moxie up north more than down here. I've seen it advertised. I think it was supposed to have had more caffeine in it too. I think I've seen it advertised. I saw a show about it on like the History Channel once. Whenever,
So, wasn't there something like 7 Up, only it was called Bubble Up?
yeah, there was a Bubble Up. You're
Yeah.
right. You're absolutely right. Of course, then there was Fresca still around if you look far enough in some places.
Yeah, that was
She
a
says I sure do, and I am older.
that
Well,
was
they don't. They never really sold Moxie Cola down here that I remember, but I have seen it and heard of it.
also had Hires root beer in bottles.
That I'm not sure about. Now that you mentioned that, we had root beer, but I'm not sure if it was any brand name.
Yeah, Hires was a up north brand.
Yeah. Did Hires also have? They didn't have restaurants and drive-ins like
No, they didn't. I
the
don't
other
believe
place.
they did. Just A&W is all I remember for root beer drive-ins, and they had A&Ws up north too.
Yeah, Tina and Rhonda, I do. I think you can get Fresca here if you look for it, but you don't see it in every store that I can remember. Of course, this was or not here, but Johnson City was also the hometown for Mountain Dew. So I grew up drinking Mountain Dew back before probably a lot of people had ever heard of it. Crush flavors. I chipped my teeth on Orange Crush bottle. Oh no.
Orange Crush and Grape Crush.
Yeah. Which was better back then. Grape Crush today is not that keen. Orange Crush is still pretty good. I drink some of that once in a while.
Chip my tooth on an Orange Crush bottle.
That'll help you remember that'll help you remember Orange Crush, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's kind of like my granny never would drink Dr. Pepper because she had a mouse in that one time.
Oh, no. Yeah. I don't much blame her for that. We had a root beer stand growing up that made their own root beer. I know people used to do that. Soda shops.
There was a place in northeast Ohio where we used to get root beer and birch beer.
Yeah, she grew up in Ohio, I think, didn't you, Rhonda? I'm not sure if she was from the same part you're from, but
Yeah.
she might be. Hires, A&W, and our local Schuler root beers.
Yeah, I think that's called Skylar.
Skylar. Woody's?
Never heard of Woody's. Canton, holy mackerel. Akron.
Yeah, Phil has traveled that country quite a bit.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So were you Canton McKinley football fan?
Is that a local high school?
Yeah, Canton, McKinley, and Massillon was the big football rivalry. Massillon's where Paul Brown came from. Guy that, that started the Bengals. And Woody's is next to the Hall of Fame. I've been there.
You've been to Woody's or the Hall of Fame?
The Hall of Fame. 1977. I was down there.
You say that. She says, "Ew, no." I'm thinking that means she's not a football fan. She must have been from the rival crosstown team. Hey, buddy.
Well, I probably grew up in Stark County there somewhere. My sister's husband's dad worked at Timken Bearing down there in Canton. I don't know what he did, but he put in a whole
career.
Is
that where Timken is?
Yeah, that's where Timken started, was Canton.
She didn't like McKinley either.
Portage Lakes. I know where Portage Lakes is. I worked at Akron Municipal Airport when I worked up there, so that's fairly close to Portage Lakes.
You want to wait now? Huh? You want to wait? Why don't you go over and get that squirrel?
To look into that. I need to get back up there anyway and visit. Haven't been up there in 30 years, probably.
CAK, I grew up near
that. That's Akron Canton Airport.
Oh.
Yeah. Akron Muni is a different airport. That's CAC. I did work there too, but Akron Muni is there in town over by the suburb of Ellett. That's where the Goodyear Air Dock is, if you're familiar with that.
Mm.
And the Derby Downs, where the national soapbox derby thing.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's on the end of the runway from the air dock there. There's a football field that's currently being torn down, but the old rubber bowl right next to the Derby down there. I saw Akron U play Youngstown State there one time.
Then does your buddy still work for Goodyear? Or did he retire?
No, Jake retired. He's probably living in Florida now, because last time I talked to him, he was looking for a retirement home on the Atlantic coast there somewhere, but I lost track of him. But Jake retired from Goodyear. He was director of maintenance by the time he retired.
Wow. Well, he was there a long time, wasn't he? I mean,
yeah, he hooked up before I left. I think he went over there in 1979 or 80, and then spent the rest of his days there. So yeah, he probably had 30 years in over there, easy. A lot more than 30 years, because hell, I was at 14 years in Nashville, so before coming over here, so long time.
We got a squirrel coming to the door. He's wide now. Teddy's wide awake. Not that he can get to it or anything, but as long as he thinks he can.
It's a Goodyear place, yeah. The air docks where Goodyear Aerospace used to be. They built the rigid dirigibles there in the 20s, and Goodyear sold it off, and it belongs to I think Dunlop now. The people that bought the brakes and stuff, they were doing airplane brakes and whatnot there.
Is that the original hangar where they built the military blimps and stuff?
Yep.
Airships. That
Yeah,
should be
the
historic.
Akron and the Macon. There was two rigid airships there, dirigibles. The Akron and the Macon were built there. At one time was the biggest self-standing structure in the world at one time.
That ought to be
Doing,
some kind of historic building that's
yeah,
been
yeah, it's on the register of historic stuff.
and what do you mean they're doing another build now, Rhonda? Building another hangar like that, or probably another unit for
Yeah,
aerospace?
the hangar I worked in there was which was called the Old City Hangar. That's where Goodyear built um, that gull wing fighter thing.
Corsairs.
Corsairs, yeah, they built Corsairs in that hangar, and then after the war they sold it to the city of Akron, and that was called the City Hangar then. And then after I think Larry packed up, the guy that I worked for, and he packed up and left, and then Goodyear took it back over, and they were storing wheels in there. Where'd you go?
I'll be right back.
Oh, okay. Another blimp hanger. They're doing another blimp hanger. That's cool. Because Goodyear had another. Well, they still own the blimp hanger out on Wingfoot Lake, and they stash some of the blimps there during the summers, and they all go south for the winter like birds. I lived in Portage County over there. We were just one street over from the Goodyear blimp hangar there on Wingfoot Lake. That's now a state park. The lake is.
You say talk about blimps and Wingfoot Lake. That reminds me of some of the pictures that used to hang on the wall at
Free service.
When the original building down there where they started, they were a big deal with Goodyear back then, and there was pictures all over the walls with them up at Goodyear and Goodyear officials coming down there for to meet those guys and set them up. They were an early Goodyear dealer in that part of the country, I think, because they'd been in business since the 30s. I don't know when Goodyear really got kicked off.
A little earlier than that, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Akron was home to Goodyear, Firestone, General, Cyberling. There was I said General. There was about 5 major rubber companies there at one time.
I didn't realize General had been around that long. I thought
General,
they were late bloomers.
They were all down there in downtown Akron. You wouldn't believe how that town stunk when I was a little bitty kid.
Oh, I bet.
When you got close to Akron, you could smell it burnt rubber stink.
Well, I grew up working in a tire warehouse, and that had that burnt rubber smell on those old tires all the time. And then I worked in the recapping plant for a while, and Brenda used to talk about me stinking when I'd come to see her or something after I'd been working, had all that tire dust and dirt on me. She said I had that nasty tire smell. She said they're not building a hangar, they're building another blimp.
Ah, okay.
Oh, her dad used to golf with the Firestones.
Woohoo! That's Firestones were tight with Henry Ford too.
Yeah, that's why Ford ran Firestones for such a long time.
Yeah, their family was married in together, I think.
I think they got plumb out. That's why it was a big deal when Firestone was having their tire problems. I can't remember the name of that tire now.
The 500, that first wheel.
And they were and Goodyear it was a big deal because Goodyear, I think at that time, made a decision not to use Firestone tires anymore.
No, you mean Ford.
Ford. What was I saying? Goodyear?
You said Goodyear.
Ford. Yes, Ford.
When they fell out was during the Ford Expedition rollover stuff.
Okay.
Because those tires were Firestones on those too, and they were running them, at really really low inflations to make the ride
Better.
Ford should take a lot of blame for that, but they didn't. But that's when Ford and the Firestones fell out.
Okay, but I know that's when
The what you were talking about, they went through 3 generations of those radials, and they were all crap. Because my buddy Jake had 5 rib 500s, 7 rib 500s, and 721s, and they all had belt separation problems.
721s were what a lot of people had on that I remember.
Yeah,
they were basically taking them off, and I can't remember, were they giving tires to people, or just telling you to take them off? They were giving tires, I think.
Because he went through. They gave him a 7 rib when his 5 ribs fell apart, and then they gave him a 721 when the 7 ribs came apart. And T-Mobile.
Wow, you grew up we don't know much about you, Rhonda. You sound to me like you're upper crust.
Yeah, that Melissa Halbert Pearson is from that part of Akron too, and she's our age, my age.
And, you probably don't know her, Rhonda. She's well, I don't know what all she's written, but she's written motorcycle books. But I think she's written some other stuff too.
Yeah, some books about dogs and
horses, maybe.
Horses, yeah, and something about the place where you live. You can't go back there anymore. And she wrote that book about that dude that was riding, long distance iron butt stuff.
On the Conning guy,
Tom Ryan.
Yeah,
I think it was on a FJ 1300.
Oh yeah, that's a different guy. You're right. Yeah. You're right. She wanted to know the name. It's Melissa
Hallbrook Pearson.
Yeah, yeah.
And what was the name of the motorcycle book? The Perfect Machine.
Perfect Machine. Yeah.
If you Google the Perfect Machine, you should find her.
And she had a friend that died up there last year on a motorcycle accident.
No, I'm sorry to hear that. It's on there.
Type in the name. Can you type the name? I don't know. She may have heard the name. I was talking over you, so I might have messed her up.
Hang on here. I got to switch to a private chat thing to do a comment.
Okay.
Okay, let's see here. Melissa Holbrook Pearson, I think is how it's spelled.
Oh, she knows her. She found it. Or not know.
Okay.
She Googled it.
All right.
She says I'm younger by 12 years. I probably don't know her then.
No. Oops. Oh no.
She had that first book, The Perfect Machine. I thought was a really good book.
Yeah, it was.
Made me want one of those little Gucci's bad. That she had.
Yeah, the Lario.
It just sounded cool, and they look good too. If you ever see one, I think about how little or how low the Le Mans looks. The Gucci Le Mans looked. I can't imagine what that little 500 was like. Teddy, look. Yeah, I think he's bored with Squirrel. Squirrel won't come see you and play. I saw the funniest video. I sent it out, put it on my Instagram chat page for this show, and somebody has a squirrel, and it was I don't know if it was from here. It might have been a black gray squirrel, and it would play dead. And it was just the funniest thing. I guess whoever had it would shoot it or say bang or play dead, and it would just lay down on its back and spread all its legs out like this, like it was dead. And I put it on my page. I just thought that I laughed about that. What? No squirrel talk. Yeah. You want to say something? Oscar-winning squirrel. You said that wasn't that good, Tina? that squirrel laid that stick or that broom handle or whatever it was messing with across its chest and just went flat. I don't know if it was a TikTok rondo or like a YouTube short or what. Well, okay. My goodness. What are you trying to tell me? We've run past our time, haven't we? I said we were going to get done and finish, and we didn't. You reminded me, huh? Okay. I remember now. Thank you. Yeah, Ted, you don't know how close you probably are, Tina. He's ready for me to go sit on he wants me to go sit on the couch. Then he can get up my lap and catch out and sleep for as long as I let him. Yesterday he got in there and he put it's his fault. I think I fell asleep. I know he stayed there for 2 hours and didn't move. He's good at that sleeping thing. That's what he does best, but I can't find any way to make money out of that.
Sleeping cat channel.
Yeah. Tina, you know what? He hardly ever does. The only time he ever says anything to me or meows at me usually is when he's wanting me to go sit on the couch, or maybe when he thinks it's time for his afternoon snack. He'll pull on my leg. He'll come up to the chair beside me and pull on my pants or reach up and pull my shirt, and if I'm not paying attention, he'll meow. But he wants to go to the couch. If I go to the couch and sit down, he runs over and jumps up and he's ready. He's a good boy like that, aren't you, bud? I took a shower this morning and he just can't figure out why anybody'd want to get in there and get so wet. He said he knows how to clean himself without getting in the shower. He's trying to show me how to do it. Requires a lot of licking on his paw and wrist. Speaking of that, before I go, I got a problem right here. I got a place on my arm that doesn't look like anything. It's not bruised, and just to do that doesn't hurt. But sometimes I can just touch that area right there, right to basically about where my ulnas and radiuses and my wrist all tied together. My wrist, basically the top of the wrist, up to about right here, hurts like hell won't have it.
You ever had shingles?
No, not yet.
Have you taken the shingles shot?
No, I talked to the vet the other day about getting one.
Yeah.
I gotta go to Kroger and get one.
Yeah, if you have active shingles, they won't give it to you until you're over it. But
well, nothing's showing. I hope I don't.
Yeah, it should itch like crazy, and then you'll see rash that like follows your.
Have you had them?
Yes, I started itching. My back started itching, and I looked in the mirror, and it looked like a cat had raked me.
Oh man!
And it follows the nerve ganglia stuff, and it comes up as a rash like that. And I went to the doctor, and he said, "Dude, you got shingles." And I said, "Well, I wanted to take that shot, but he said, well, you can't take it now until you're over it." So, and then right then they were changing the formula from that first version into the Shingrix now. So I had to wait an extra month.
I remember when the first time I ever even heard about them was, and if you don't know if you remember, Brummett had them bad.
Yeah, he had that big scab on his head, looked like a third eye.
Yeah, and he had it took him a while to get over them, as I recall. Yeah. I'm going to go get mine too this week. I'm going to go over there. I asked the guy if I had to get make an appointment at Kroger, and he said as long as I just needed to call ahead. They weren't that busy doing them right now. So Shingrix, I think, is the name of this one.
Right. It takes 2 shots.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, 2 shots, and I wasn't on Medicare yet, so it was like $165 a pop for me.
Wow.
So, I think Medicare may cover that.
I think it does.
Yeah.
I never had pox, so I wasn't worried about. Oh, really? You never
Chicken
had
pox.
chicken pox, huh?
They might have had a shot for that. Well, that was not at her age. You lucked out. That's what you call what do you call that? Herd immunity.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
When did you get your shot, Rhonda? I know my doctor. I asked my doctor for it, and she said you need to go to Kroger. They've got the new shot.
Yeah.
And at that time, she either didn't have any or she still had the old version and didn't want to give it to me. Mom,
Yeah.
mom exposed me so many times, and I never got it. I never had the mumps.
I
I
had
knew, I knew a lot of kids that had the mumps, and I never had the mumps. Or if I did, we didn't know it.
me and Melissa and Dad had them all at the same time. That was
Oh,
long.
she got it last
That,
month.
that was that was before MMR shots were available.
Yeah,
That was a long time ago.
I knew kids that had it, and mom used to wonder. I can remember her saying something about I never had them, and she used to try to think if maybe if I'd had them and just didn't show much or something. Mumps and measles were mostly gone when I was a kid. I have that big circle shots. Well, yeah, we all have that.
That's
Or
smallpox.
smallpox. I mean, yeah. And do they still give that?
I don't think so.
I don't think they do either.
I think
Polio, that's
I think
usually
that's
given
considered.
differently.
I think polio was an oral vaccine.
Yeah, you could. When I first started taking polio vaccines, people lined up at the middle school, or what became the middle school. It was the old high school then, and they had little cubes of sugar.
Yeah, the first thing was the Salk vaccine, and then the Sabin vaccine was the oral stuff.
Was it okay?
Yeah,
That's what I got.
we drank ours out of a little cup, one of them little teeny tiny paper cups, like you'd get it.
You never had it on sugar cubes?
Nope, did
Wow,
not.
that's how they gave it to us. They lined people, and I'm serious. People lined up to get it when it happened, and because I remember sitting in line or standing in line, and then they handed you a little cup, and it had a sugar cube in it that was pink. It had red serum on it,
Yeah,
and you just ate the sugar
yeah.
cube, and
I
which
remember.
I thought back then. I thought, wow, this is really cool. Beats a
I
shot every
remember it
time.
being. I remember it being pink, but it was in a cup and it wasn't a sugar cube.
Well,
And
later on when I went to college in Florida, they wanted to give me a booster of it. It was still, I guess, common or still enough of it out there, and they gave me a little squeeze tube and clipped the end of it and
uh,
said, "Just squeeze this in your mouth," and it was red and kind of sweet tasting, as I recall. But
hmm.
I just did that, and that was the last thing I ever heard about polio.
Yeah, that's that. And smallpox is pretty much considered. Well, measles was there until vax deniers started, but that was pretty much considered gone.
Originally, they said you could only get it if you had chicken pox, but my doctor said that isn't true anymore. That's interesting. Well, there is, I guess it is. Well, I don't know if this is what he was talking about, but you can catch it from somebody else if it's got like exposed. I hate to say this, but I'm going to anyway. Like pussy type, if it's draining or moist or you shouldn't. There's a time during its activity that you can actually catch it from somebody else. I read that just the other day because I didn't think you could at all, but you can if you have contact at the wrong time.
Was that chicken pox?
No, shingles.
Oh, shingles. Okay.
Brenda's mom was talking about you. She didn't want us to come up one time or Brenda to come up or because she didn't want to expose anybody. She was having a bad bout, and she was afraid she'd pass it on to somebody. And I didn't think it was contagious in that way, and it is, but only for a certain period of time. So normally you don't get it from somebody else, but you can. So that may be what Rhonda's doctor was talking about. The circle shot scar. The kids just younger than her didn't get it. Well, that'd be about right. That's when they stopped.
Yeah, I'm not sure when they dropped that.
I can kind of remember when they came out and announced that it was dead around the world. They thought they had it whipped, although I never felt comfortable when somebody says something like that. All right, I'm going to go, Phil. I really appreciate you coming on today.
Yeah.
And we got to talk about something I've been kind of wanting to talk about anyway. And you're always welcome, of course. They started dropping it in the kids 1 year younger, but it was more prevalent in the 2 to 3 years. Mm. Back when we were growing up, we had all those things. Most of those things, we got inoculated by having them. And
right, like I was saying with mumps, that they didn't have measles, mumps, rubella shots then.
And so I had measles, and we used to talk. There was at least 2 kinds of measles. There was the German measles, they called it.
That's rubella.
Rubella, yeah. And then there was another form of measles.
Yeah, and we called them 3-day measles and 7-day measles.
Yeah, I think we did too. And of course, one was worse than the other, but I think we could get both, and kids didn't get both.
Yeah, and was a risk for rheumatic fever too.
Yeah, I think that was rubella, wasn't it?
Think so. Yeah, I just know that. Yeah, had to stay in a dark room and stuff, and mom wouldn't let us read and that kind of stuff.
Because it could damage your eyes.
Yeah.
So anyway, nature always finds a way, Tina said. And nice to meet you, Phil.
Yeah, well, I enjoyed it. Well, the conversation and whatnot.
So I don't know if you got any other big plans for this weekend or not, but
who, me?
Yeah,
I'm gonna go find some craft brewed beer because I haven't had any for 2 days. I gave a unit of blood yesterday, so
well, you're about due then.
Yeah, I don't want to get too dried out.
No, no, absolutely not.
I think I'll be spending some time down at the Casual Pint this afternoon.
Good idea. All right.
Watch some baseball.
Thanks, everybody. I can't remember who plays first game today, but
Tennessee's the second game.
Yeah, they're at 7. Yeah, I had to have all my shots to go overseas when Dad was stationed there, but I did get German measles when I was 7. It was really dangerous for pregnant women. Yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah,
in fact, isn't that wasn't German measles? Didn't that have something to do with Helen Keller being blind and deaf? I can't. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
No, you got me there.
What part of the world are you in now, Phil?
I am in the big town of Seymour, Tennessee, 12 miles south of Knoxville.
And about 10 or 12 miles from me is
20. I'm 20 from you.
20? Are you really? Is it that far?
Yep.
Well, not as the crow flies.
Not as the crow flies, but I don't fly, so.
Well, that's true. It doesn't seem like it's that far when I drive over there. Rhonda thinks that might be right about Helen Keller. I was thinking it had something to do with rubella, but I could be wrong. Her mom had it or something like that. Because as far as I know, I don't know if she ever heard sound or saw anything. I mean, I don't think, unless that's what happened to her, but I'm not sure about that. All right. That's the assignment for next week. Look up Helen Keller. And we'll talk about it for a while. Mark may be back next week. I don't know.
Patty Duke played her in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Miracle Worker.
Yeah, she did, at least in one movie.
So
All right, guys.
that's your Disney trivia to go with it.
All right, guys. I'm shutting her down. See you later. Everybody have a good day, have a good rest of your weekend. If your father's out there, happy Father's Day. And if you're not a father, have a good day anyway. They'll drink a beer for me.
I'll
Or a
do it.
craft brewed ale.
Yep, I'll do it.
It is suspected to be rubella or scarlet fever at 19 months. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
19 months scarlet fever or meningitis. I remember when a kid died of meningitis, or one of the bad one.
Yeah, spinal meningitis. We had a girl in the 4th grade die of that when I was.
Did they lock you down and send? I mean, did they lock you out until they checked everything?
No, they
They
didn't.
literally shut the school down and had to run a bunch of tests on that had been close to her, and they called it brain fever.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that was a bad deal. I remember we stayed home from school that day or a day or two because that they were, I guess, and I don't know if that was legit or if they just panicked over it, but I think I was still in middle school when that happened, 7th or 8th grade, maybe. But it was a pretty big deal. That was in Jonesboro. Anyway, all right, guys, it's been a blast. Phil, see you later, buddy. Thanks again.
Okie doke.
All right, see you, everybody.